Alright guys, it's now time to talk about numbers and Python. I know a lot of people don't like math, but Python is pretty decent because it allows you to solve mathematical things or mathematical statements easily. So for example here in the shell, Python interpreter on Pydroid, I type in 2 plus 2 and when I put my answer it returns 4. The cool thing is that Python knows, okay? If we wanted to write a line of code to help us evaluate what the addition figure is, it would take hours and thousands of lines of code before we even got anything working. But Python has inbuilt functions to help you run code easily. So 2 plus 2 equals 4. If you try to do 3 plus 3 minus, okay, let's walk through it quickly. 3 minus 2, it'll give us 1, okay. But let's say we wanted to do 4 divided by 2, it will give us 2.0, okay. And that is something we notice a lot when working with Python, is that sometimes we have values like this, and these values are called floats, okay guys, they are called floats, okay. Now let's say that we wanted to change this value from being a float. We have a method here, and remember everything we said about method, we have one function or method, if you want to call it, that one works. You can say integer 2.0, and when we close our parenthesis and enter, it heals it, okay. It says, okay, now I know you wanted an integer value, okay. So further on, looking down, we can also see something like let's say 4, and let's do this. We could say 4 divided by 2, and notice that it gives us a single value, okay guys. It gives us a straight value of 2. Now this is called a floor division. A floor division, meaning that we want only the floor value of 2 right there. That's called a floor division. Okay, now that we've done that, we can now say that, hey, what if I said let's divide 5 divided by 2, but we wanted only the remainder, and this operator, percentage, but known as Python, is also known as a modulo operator. It will give us just the remainder, and it says 5 modulo 2 remains 1, okay. It brings out the remainder of 1 for us. Now, cool thing with Python, we have not talked about multiplying yet. If I wanted to say 5 and I wanted to say multiplied by 2, this is how it look like in math, but Python is going to return a syntax error because this is not valid multiplication in Python. So if you wanted to multiply stuff in Python, what you do will be simply using this one. We use an asterisk, okay, kind of like a star symbol. And where are your asterisks? Okay, we use an asterisk and say 5 multiplied by 2, and then it works 10, okay. It works. Now this asterisk can also be used to represent exponents. You might have noticed that maybe when you worked with a calculator back in school, something like this, raised to the power of 2, okay. Now exponents, we could do that with a double asterisk symbol in Python. I would say 5 double asterisk 2, and Python automatically knows that we're trying to say 5 square, okay, and then it gives us a value of 25. Let's try that with a ridiculous value. Let's say 2, let's say double asterisk 9, then it gives us 2 raised to the power of 9, which is 512. Pretty cool. Now another thing in Python is, while it works pretty great like a good calculator, there are some cases where we remember things called operator precedence. Let's just write that in this black space. And in school, I don't know, in other places it might be different, but it's called board mass. And there's a bracket comes first in the order of precedence, then the off comes first when we are talking about it in arithmetic, and D, this is a D, please forgive me. Division comes next, then multiplication, then addition, then subtraction, okay. That's board mass, and Python also obeys that rule, okay, to make sure everybody understands themselves. For example, say I wanted to do something like this: 10 and I said 10 plus 10, and then I went and said times 20. Now what will happen will be that in our head we're thinking, oh, we want to say, oh, that's cool. I want to say 10 plus 10, well, that's 20. And let's say times 20. And we want to add these two zeros together. We're going to be like, oh, that's 400. Am I wrong? I think I got my math wrong. Let's do that real quick. No, Python is going to be like, I don't know what you're talking about. Let's test if I got my math wrong. You have to be very sure. Okay, 400, I got my math right. So we're going to be like, okay, 10 plus 10, and then we say times 20. But it's not going to think of it the same way because we didn't obey operator precedence here. And when we type that in, it gives us the value 210. Now this doesn't mean that Python is bad at math, okay? Python isn't bad, okay? At math, isn't bad at math. But what is going on here is that Python says this and says, oh, well, I thought, and I'm going to be really honest, I thought that you meant 10 times 20. So I did 10 times 20, 200, because I was following board mass, and multiplication comes before addition. And then I said, oh, I have to follow the multiplying symbol first, and then I'm going to come over to the addition symbol. So Python follows that kind of thing. Now, a more complex example will be something like this. 2 raised to the power of 3 raised to the power of 2. Now what Python is going to give us